11:03 Tuesday, February 4th, 2025, live on KDUS AM 1060, the KDUS AM 1060 app, and yes, the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube channel. Welcome in to today's edition of The Lunch Break. Chris Schubert with you for the next 2 hours as the NBA trade deadline draws closer and closer. The Suns continue to play basketball games. The Suns continue to be in the news, both good, bad, and ugly. Producer Corey back at the KDUS studios. For those of you watching on YouTube, you'll notice a little different setup here today. I'm home, the home studio. This is how you know you've become a radio host, Producer Corey, because I have equipment here. I'm all alone. I've had to push buttons. We're okay right now. Things seemingly are okay. I'm connected to you. You can hear me. I can hear you. Things are good. So why don't we keep that train going and we get started with today's Daily Special. On the night in which Devin Booker becomes the Phoenix Suns franchise leading scorer, the Suns lose in overtime 121-119 to the Portland Trail Blazers. And I got to be honest with you, everybody. I don't know what to make of this team anymore. I don't know what to make of a team that got 86 points from the big three and still lost in overtime. I watched a game last night in which the Phoenix Suns had everything to play for. They had everything to redeem themselves from. We spent yesterday's show telling you an opportunity for quick revenge. How often do you get a chance to immediately avenge, unless it's a playoff series, a loss to an opponent? The Suns had that chance last night. They had a chance to start a week, a very important week, a week in which we told you Oklahoma City is right around the corner. A matchup with Denver later this week. Portland and Utah were the two games that you have to get in order to keep this season alive. And I ask you this question. Which team last night in that basketball game looked like the team that was competing for their playoff life? Which team last night played with the energy level that mirrored a team that might be making a big splash before the trade deadline on Thursday? Which team played like their season hangs in the balance every single night and they need to give 110%? Which team was it? Because for me, it wasn't the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns didn't play like a team that is holding on to one of the last play-in spots in the Western Conference. The Phoenix Suns didn't play like a basketball team that is potentially going to mortgage their future even further than they already have to go out and get Jimmy Butler. They looked like a team that was 9 games below 500. They looked like a team that was 13th in the Western Conference. But that was Portland last night. Portland walked into that game last night 20-29. Portland walked into that game last night 9 games below 500 and 13th in the Western Conference. Nowhere near the play-in tournament, nowhere near being relevant in the Western Conference power structure, which it's just a war, right? All of these teams, Houston, Oklahoma City, Dallas, the Lakers, Memphis, Denver, you name it, Golden State, all these teams that are still trying to be relevant. Portland, they're not even in that tier. They're just kind of just playing good basketball, playing solid basketball, but they're not there yet. They're a team in transition. They're a team still trying to find themselves. And yet last night, I saw a team that had more fight. I saw a team that was playing with more energy. One of my main takeaways from the basketball game last night should not be that on a night in which the big three combined for 86 points, 27 from Kevin Durant, 34 from Devin Booker, became the all-time leading scorer in Suns franchise history. Bradley Beal added 25 off the bench. I should not feel that on a night when that happened, that the Portland Trail Blazers had a player in Deni Avdija who scored 24 points, and I watch that player and say, man, the Suns could use a guy like that. Big three combined for 86. The Phoenix Suns have Kevin Durant. They have Devin Booker. They have Bradley Beal. And I found myself watching somebody on the other team saying, man, the Suns could use a guy like that. They could use a guy that provides that type of energy, that provides that type of excitement, that plays with an energy level that you can see is contagious to the rest of his team. You can see that Toumani Camara, Jeremy Grant, Simons, Ayton, everybody feeds off of the energy that Deni Avdija provides. And the Suns don't have that guy. Where's their energy coming from? I've never been more frustrated watching a basketball team than I was the Phoenix Suns last night, because despite the 11 first-half turnovers, they were 10 of 20 from three-point land and had the lead going into halftime. I didn't feel like watching the first half that was a team that should have been in the lead. Yet they play that way because of the pure talent that they have, because they have a Kevin Durant, because they have a Devin Booker, because they have a Bradley Beal, because they have the pure talent, they can stay in these games. And then they proceed to go 5 of 22 in the second half from behind three-point land, and they just don't play with an energy. It just feels stale. It's not enjoyable. And the way the game ends last night, on a night in which Devin Booker becomes the Suns' all-time leading scorer, and we're going to unpack that a little bit later on here in the program. On that night, the one free throw that Devin Booker misses is the free throw that could have sent this game into double overtime, and that's the takeaway. The takeaway is, on the night that Devin Booker becomes the all-time leading scorer, he makes the critical mistake. On a night in which the Suns needed to get a victory against the Portland Trailblazers, it's DeAndre Ayton again having a huge night, going 25-20 to beat the Phoenix Suns. A chance for revenge. The Phoenix Suns don't get anything else outside of the big three. Those are the takeaways. That's how we feel today going in to the trade deadline in 2 days. Which team last night was fighting for a playoff spot? Which team last night felt like they were a team in transition? Which team last night felt like they were the team that was rebuilding? It was a complete role reversal. If you did not know anything about the Phoenix Suns season, and if you didn't know anything about the Portland Trailblazers, and you wiped away their records, and you just watched the effort level, and you just watched the energy that the team played with last night, both teams played with last night, you would have said that Portland is the team trying to hang on for a playoff spot. That you would say that that team is the team that needs every single one of these games, that needs to win at home. And you would say the Phoenix Suns are a team. If you knew nothing about Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and how great they are, you would have said that that is the team that is in transition, that is the team that is in rebuilding, and yet is the complete opposite. Think of the amount of time that we have spent debating what the Suns should do, what the Suns shouldn't do. Push the chips further all in, or take your foot off the gas pedal. We've debated it back and forth, back and forth. You have probably gone back and forth on what you want this team to do. And with performances like that, I know they took the game to overtime, but they should have won that basketball game. And you deep down, you knew it from the word go. You knew it from jump, because the Trailblazers came out with an energy level that was matching what the Phoenix Suns were providing, and the Suns didn't have that extra gear in the first quarter. You would expect that team to come out with their hair on fire, knowing that they gave one away on Saturday after losing on Friday to the Warriors. You figured that they would be chomping at the bit to go out there and get their revenge against the Trailblazers, and Portland was matching them energy level in the first quarter. That's when we should have known how this game was going to end. And yet it is another example of the long list of games that the Suns have played in this season, in which they have given games away and they have lost games that they have no business losing. So that's the backdrop for the next 48 hours. When we come in here on Thursday to do this program, it is NBA trade deadline day. It will be the last 2 hours once we are on the air for the Suns to do anything before the trade deadline. And this game is the backdrop. And oh, by the way, on Wednesday, tomorrow night, you're going to play the best team in the Western Conference in the Oklahoma City Thunder. Is there anything about what you've seen over the last 2 days that makes you think that the Suns are going to go into Oklahoma City and win that basketball game? Now, in typical Suns fashion, they will probably find a way to win that game to get you to oscillate back and forth on what this team should do. But I think you got the clear message last night. They couldn't find the rebound performance against Portland. They lost back-to-back games against the Portland Trailblazers, who are 13th in the Western Conference. The Suns now are barely hanging on to a play-in tournament spot. I'll check the standings once again while we're here. They're 10th. The same record as the Golden State Warriors. Only a 3-game cushion over the San Antonio Spurs. Sacramento's in front of them. Dallas is in front of them. Minnesota is in front of them. The Suns' season is hanging by a thread. And we've known it's been hanging by a thread for the last couple of weeks. It is hanging by the thinnest of margins after losing 2 games. Why should this team trade for Jimmy Butler? And don't worry, everybody, we're going to get into some Jimmy Butler conversation here today on the program. We're going to talk about rebuild or to continue to go all in. We're going to give you the latest on where the NBA trade deadline stands. A little quiet over the last 24 hours. Everybody may be relaxing after what happened with Luka Doncic, maybe relaxing after what happened with De'Aaron Fox, resetting a little bit. It's been a little quiet right now, almost a little too quiet on the NBA trade deadline front, but plenty of time for that to ramp up here over the next 48 hours, 2 days. 1 o'clock on Thursday is when the deadline is passed. So our last segment, that'll be a lot of fun on Thursday. Our last segment on Thursday's show. So 12:45 on Thursday will be the last 15 minutes. If the Suns haven't done anything by then, it is going to be a very tense 15 minutes to figure out what this team is going to do or what they are not going to do. But the Suns last night lost again in Portland. And truthfully, I don't know what more to say. The Big Three scored 86 points. You got everything that you would have asked for from those guys. Devin Booker becomes the Suns' all-time leading scorer, drops 34 in 47 minutes. Kevin Durant plays 46 minutes. He adds 27. Those two guys help this team in the middle quarters, the second and third quarter, keep that game close. And yet, you got 86 points combined from the Big Three, and it wasn't enough. The Portland Trailblazers took you down in overtime. And you got a gift of all gifts from Denny Avila with the foul, just a bad foul to send Devin Booker to the free throw line, and he misses the last free throw. On a night that's supposed to be a celebration of him, he could have had the moment. And instead, you had to watch DeAndre Ayton on the other end of the floor knock down key free throw after key free throw. He was 7 of 8 from the free throw line. I texted with a buddy during the game last night, and he said the DeAndre Ayton revenge game in some capacity. I mean, he at every turn hit the big free throw to keep it a 3-point game to where the Suns couldn't take the lead. And yet when you had a chance to hit the free throw to force double overtime or at least tie the game up, you missed it. That's been the Suns season in a nutshell. 480-864-1060 is the phone number if you want to join the conversation here today on the show. We have a lot to unpack from the Phoenix Suns, where they go from here, why I think last night is truly the breaking point. I think truly it is where the pivot is going to start to take place. But if it doesn't, you know what this means. We have to have another Jimmy Butler conversation because Jimmy Butler is still trying everything in his power to get to Phoenix. Why? That's next on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.